Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. It's TSP here. I'm super happy that you're back here with me, and it's your first time, please subscribe for more content, and drop me a like or drop me a comment as well, please, to let me know about things that you like to discuss on this channel. But I'm super happy to have you here. So today I thought that I'd continue in this vein of topics related to goal setting, and I thought I'd talk about motivation, because motivation is particularly important when it comes to things like goals, and they're very much interdependently connected. So what is motivation in the first place? So when we look at motivation, we can think about it as energy that we are marshaling to engage in a behavior towards a certain end. So we have things that we ultimately want to accomplish, and motivation is the internal emotional energy that we are ultimately expending towards achieving some type of goal ultimately. So one thing that's important to think about when we're talking about motivation is that we are always motivated. Oftentimes we hear people say things that are not completely accurate when it comes to motivation. You know, people say, I'm just not motivated. And when they say that, they typically mean that they're not motivated to engage in, excuse my voice, in that particular or a certain behavior, but they are motivated for something, and they're motivated for something else. And the reason why that's important is because motivation is not a static thing. It is not really a unidimensional thing. It's typically multidimensional. And so usually when people are not engaging in the behavior that they want to or think that they want to engage in, they're typically engaging in another behavior. So right now, I'm not motivated to go for a run outside, but at the same time, I am motivated to sit here and talk to you all. So motivation, we can't view it as a unidimensional, all or nothing thing. It is not all or nothing. It is a multidimensional, and is better viewed as kind of on a continuum. So oftentimes we may have a low level motivation for something, but it may not be none. It may not be zero, because that's uncommon for something to be a complete zero motivation. And if it is a zero motivation, we have to determine whether or not that's something that we really need to be doing, or why our motivation is so low. So we want to view this as a continuum. So motivation kind of ebbs and flows throughout the day. One example for myself is cleaning up. I hate cleaning up, and if you saw my man cave, you'd understand. But there are times when I am a little motivated to clean up. And so when I do have that motivation to clean up, and it tends to be relatively random because I don't typically like to clean up, then I jump on that. So that's one of my tips. So when we talk about ways to be motivated and ways to engage in those behaviors that you want to, or maybe you think that you want to engage in, is jump on that motivation wave. So when you have that, when that fluid motivation increases, use it at that point in time. I can't tell you how many times I hear people say that, you know, they're motivated for something, and then they did something else because something else had to be done before. So don't do that. If you think that this has to get done before this, first we need to really look at that, because if it's not life and death, then it's not going to, you know, cause the world to end or cause you to kind of lose your job, whatever it may be. Then there's oftentimes those things that we have to get done can be put off a little bit at the very least. But what we want to do is make sure that when we do have motivation to engage in certain behaviors, especially more undesirable behaviors, use it when it comes. Don't delay it. So that's a particularly important part of this. So use that motivation wave, one. The next thing is be kind to yourself. So oftentimes when people are setting goals and trying to get motivated to engage in something, and they don't have the motivation that they want or that they believe they should have, what they often do is they start beating themselves up. They start talking to themselves in a negative manner. They start saying just bad things about themselves or to themselves, and that's something we don't want to do. So if you are doing this sort of thing, you are probably going to demotivate yourself even more. You're going to feel worse about yourself. You're probably going to decrease your overall energy, and you probably may become sad, maybe even depressed. And this is going to decrease your motivation further. So be kind to yourself. So if you don't really feel like engaging in this behavior, well, be kind to yourself and say, hey, maybe I can engage in this at another time when it fits better with what I'm desiring to do for myself ultimately. But part of what we have to think about when we're talking about our lack of motivation for engaging in things is, how do these behaviors that I want to motivate myself to engage in now, how do they fit into the ultimate goals that I have for myself? And I think that's one of the things that we oftentimes forget, is that our behaviors really serve as ultimately ways of moving us toward our goals. And if we can't see how these discrete behaviors are going to ultimately move us towards our ultimate goals, then that's going to make it hard for us to motivate ourselves to engage in those behaviors. So one thing that I want you to look at is, how are these smaller behaviors, maybe even everyday things, how are they connected to your ultimate goals for yourself and for your life? And once you're able to connect those things, then oftentimes we can find ways to be much more motivated, because if we can see that, oh wow, if I engage in this behavior now, today, it's going to move me one step towards my goal of such and such, whatever that may be. So that's important. And so once we have connected the goals, these goals that we want to engage in with the things that we're trying to motivate ourselves to do on a shorter or small term basis, then ultimately we have to make sure that we are doing a good job of reminding ourselves of how this behavior is related to our ultimate goals. So one of the things that I often encourage people to do is to write it down. Write down what your goals are, and even make that connection between these smaller things you're wanting to be motivated towards and these ultimate overarching goals. So write it down and find a way to remind yourself each and every day. So you can do this by putting it in your cell phone. Most people, I know, keep their cell phones with them 24/7 most of the day, right? So have it in your notes. Put it in your notes on your phone and have it somewhere where you can just pull it up quickly. Put it on a piece of paper, write it down, put it on your refrigerator. Put it somewhere where you can see it and you are reminded of the ultimate goals that you want to engage in, and the fact that you engaging in certain behaviors, maybe smaller behaviors, maybe even if they're less desirable behaviors, things that can help you move towards those goals on a daily basis. Thank you for being here. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully we can continue to make your tomorrow better than today. Have a great one.